Imagine standing before a heavy steel vault, placing every dollar you have ever earned inside and spinning the lock. You walk away feeling completely safe, knowing your hard work is protected behind thick walls and heavy doors. Years pass in total silence, and no alarm ever rings. You finally return to open the vault, expecting your wealth to be exactly as you left it. The paper bills are still sitting there in neat stacks, untouched by human hands. But something chilling has happened in the dark. The money looks exactly the same, but the purchasing power of those bills has been gutted. What could once buy a house can now barely buy a car. The numbers on the paper have not changed, but the actual value of your savings has bled away into nothing. It is a perfect silent crime scene where the lock was never broken, yet the treasure is entirely gone. This is the brutal reality of wealth erosion happening to millions of people right now without them even noticing. The missing value at this silent crime scene was not taken by a masked robber in the night, but by a relentless economic force known as inflation. When you look closely at the evidence, the impact is undeniable. The cost of a simple loaf of bread or a gallon of milk slowly doubles, then triples, leaving your stagnant pile of cash completely powerless to keep up to understand how this invisible thief operates. You have to look at the slow, creeping shadow it casts over everyday life. Prices for basic needs creep higher and higher, month after month. The gas pump demands more dollars. The grocery store receipt grows longer and more expensive. Yet the paycheck you bring home stays stubbornly flat, frozen in time while the world around it becomes more costly. It is never a sudden, violent attack that wakes you up in the middle of the night. Instead, it is a slow, quiet drain that steals fractions of a penny from every dollar you own every single day. The system works by flooding the world with more paper money, which makes each bill you hold worth a little bit less. You're forced to run faster on a treadmill just to stay in the exact same place. The true horror of this silent drain is the profound human toll it leaves behind. Think of a tired worker who followed every rule, saving a portion of their paycheck for 40 long years. They trusted the system blindly, believing that their quiet discipline would buy them a peaceful retirement. They finally clock out for the last time, only to discover a heartbreaking reality waiting for them. The life savings they spent decades building can barely cover the cost of basic groceries and heating bills. The dream of a quiet, comfortable life is shattered, replaced by the terrifying panic of outliving their own money. It is a deep, crushing betrayal. The very system they trusted to protect their future was the exact thing, slowly eating away at their survival. When investigators pull back the dusty files of history, the chilling footprint of this economic force becomes impossible to ignore. A century ago, a few dollars could buy a cart full of goods, but today that same amount cannot even buy a cup of coffee. We can trace this exact pattern through decades of old records, watching prices swell while the working class struggles to survive the rising tide. The records reveal terrifying moments of total collapse, where money lost its meaning entirely. In places where the invisible thief was allowed to run wild, people had to carry wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. Entire nations watched their life savings turn into worthless scrap paper in a matter of weeks. These dark historical chapters prove that paper money is never a permanent promise of value. This dark history reveals the shocking illusion of the traditional bank account. Leaving your money in a standard savings account is not a safe harbor at all. It is a slow, guaranteed trap. The bank smiles, takes your money, and pays you a tiny fraction of interest, while the hidden cost of living rises much faster. To build true wealth protection, you must abandon the illusion of safe paper and seek out new investment strategies, moving toward hard assets like real estate to finally stop the bleeding. The smiling teller hands you a paper showing a tiny reward for leaving your cash in their vault, but this small payment is just a mask. It hides the brutal truth that your money is quietly bleeding out, while your balance creeps up by pennies. The cost of food and shelter leaps forward by dollars. The safe bank account is a perfect trap where savings erosion happens without a sound. There comes a cold moment when you finally see the trap. You realize no rescue team is coming. The system is not built to protect you from this silent drain. To survive the ongoing theft, you must stop acting like a helpless target. You must become the guard of your own vault. This chilling truth forces a total change in how you look at the world. The fear of losing everything turns into an urgent need to fight back. You start hunting for clues, looking for a way to build a wall around your hard work. The search for real protection begins now. You need new investment strategies that can actually beat the invisible thief. The first major defense is moving away from weak paper. You must trade ghost-like promises for things that are heavy, solid, and real. This is the core idea behind a hard asset. A hard asset is something you can touch, taking up physical space in the world. It is a shield made of dirt, wood, or metal. When the value of paper money drops, these solid things hold their ground. A piece of land or a heavy bar of metal cannot be printed out of thin air because they are rare and real. They keep your purchasing power safe. As paper dollar lose their strength, the solid shield stands firm, blocking the attack on your wealth. The strongest of these shields is real estate. Owning land and buildings gives you a massive, unmoving fortress. It is not just a number on a screen, it is bricks and concrete. When the invisible drain tries to pull value away, the heavy walls push back. The defense works in a very simple way. As inflation pushes the cost of everyday life higher, the price of the building goes up with it. If you rent that building out, the rent you collect rises too. The heavy fortress naturally grows taller, perfectly matching the harsh impact of the rising tide. Inside this fortress lies a shocking twist that turns the game upside down. For most people, owing money is a heavy weight. But in this dark financial story, a specific type of debt actually becomes a weapon. It is a strange truth that owing the right kind of money could save you. If you buy a building using a fixed loan, the amount you owe the bank never changes, but as time passes, the invisible thief makes the money itself worth less. You pay the bank back with weak dollars. The burden of the loan slowly melts away, while the solid building keeps its true value. Finding this hidden weapon brings a deep feeling of relief. The cold fear of losing your future is replaced by a quiet, steady power. You are no longer a sitting duck, waiting for the silent drain to rob your family. Taking control brings peace of mind, knowing you have built a real wall to keep out the shadows. The result of taking control is a deep change in how you live. You stop looking at prices with fear and start looking at tomorrow with a clear mind. The heavy shadow of the silent thief lifts. It reveals a clear path where your wealth is guarded and your family is safe. You are finally the master of your own fate. Beyond real estate, there's a secret government shield made just to fight the enemy of inflation. It is called Treasury Inflation-Protected Securities, or TIPS. Think of it as a very special loan you make to the very people who print the money. It is a quiet tool hidden in plain sight, waiting for those smart enough to use it. This hidden tool comes with a strong promise that regular loans do not have. The government agrees to watch the official rate of rising prices. When the cost of living goes up, they adjust your money to match it exactly. It is like a safe room where the walls grow thicker as the danger outside gets worse. The steps to use this defense are simple and happen all by themselves. You buy the bond and the government measures how much value the dollar has lost. Then they magically add that exact missing amount right back into your account. Your purchasing power stays frozen in time, offering true protection from the invisible drain. But outside the safety of government bonds lies the loud and chaotic arena of the stock market. It is a brutal battlefield where companies fight to survive the crushing impact of rising costs. Every single day, business owners open their doors and face the cold fact that their supplies cost more than they did yesterday. The dark truth is that not all of these stocks will make it out alive. Weak companies that are too afraid to raise their prices slowly choke to death. Their profits melt away into nothing, and the people who bought their stock are left holding empty bags as their savings suffer total erosion. The silent thief takes them down without mercy. Yet, in the middle of this financial graveyard, a few rare giants actually thrive in the dark. These powerful companies do not just survive the rising tide of costs. They use it as a weapon to get even bigger. They stand tall while others fall, turning a dangerous time into a chance for massive growth. You can spot these survivors by looking for one chilling trait known as pricing power. This is the raw ability of a business to force its customers to pay more money without losing them. People need what they sell so badly that they will pay whatever the new price tag says. Think of the companies that make the medicine you must take or the basic food you must eat. When their costs go up, they simply pass that heavy weight right on to the buyer. They protect their own piles of cash by reaching deeper into the pockets of the public. It is a ruthless but perfect defense. Within this group of survivors lies one of the best investment strategies to keep you safe. It is the steady heartbeat of dividend stocks. While ordinary stock prices jump up and down in a blind panic, these specific companies quietly hand out a share of their cash directly to you. They drop real money into your hands on a strict schedule, creating a constant lifeline in a dying economy. These payments arrive like clockwork. The company takes a piece of its profit and drops it straight into your account. You never have to sell a single share to get this money. It is a steady heartbeat in a sick economy. While others watch their screens in fear, you wait for the next cash drop. But even the strongest companies are just names on paper. When the fear of rising prices turns into panic, humans look backward. They turn away from screens and banks, searching for the oldest forms of wealth. They look down at the dirt. When paper money systems crack, people stop trusting promises and demand physical things. This shift takes the investigation away from Wall Street. It leads straight into the ground, to the raw materials that built civilization. These are things you can touch and hold. They do not rely on a clever business plan. When the invisible thief destroys a dollar, these ancient assets stand like stone walls. We call these raw materials commodities. They are the gold locked in dark vaults, the oil pumped from the earth, and the wheat grown in vast fields. These are the exact ingredients that make up the rising prices of inflation. When the cost of living goes up, the cost of these basic materials is rising. If the cost of making everyday things is rising, the ultimate defense is to own those exact materials. When bread costs twice as much, the person who owns the wheat does not suffer. When gas prices drain a budget, the person who owns the oil is protected. You hold the things the world is forced to buy. Yet there is a dark corner within this ancient defense. While gold and oil protect your wealth, they suffer from one fatal flaw. They are dead. A bar of gold sits in the dark and does absolutely nothing. It does not invent or produce a profit. The chilling risk is that your wealth stops working entirely. This is the lasting tragedy of the invisible thief. The true cost of inflation is found in the permanent change it forces upon a society. Decades of slowly fading money have taught generations a bitter lesson about trust. The old promise that saving cash in a safe bank is enough to build a good life is broken forever. The durable result is a world where everyone must become an investor just to survive. The burden of protecting the future has been pushed onto ordinary people. They can no longer just earn their money and rest. This shift has left a lingering anxiety in homes. The peace of mind that once came with a full savings account is gone. You can see this human aftermath in the daily choices of older workers. People who plan to leave their jobs look at their fading bank accounts. They realize they cannot afford to stop. They return to work, taking shifts they never wanted again. Their carefully laid plans were destroyed by prices that never stopped climbing. Families quietly change how they live, shrinking their dreams to fit a harsh new reality. The spare bedroom meant for a new child becomes an office to work a second job. The family trip is canceled to cover the rising cost of heating the house. The real aftermath is measured in tired faces and delayed lives. The year 2022 delivered a brutal shock that broke the old rules of money. A dark record was set as prices jumped higher than they had in 40 years, forcing a harsh truth upon millions. The silent erosion of purchasing power was no longer just a slow leak, but a sudden flood washing away years of hard work. The simple belief that leaving money in savings was safe had been proven false, leaving a deep mark on an entire generation. To survive this unstoppable force, the very meaning of safety had to change. People were forced to drop the false comfort of paper money and look for shelter in real things. The old investment strategies shifted to active wealth protection, turning everyday people into guards of their own futures. Whether it was buying a physical piece of real estate or locking in fixed debt, the only way to stop the theft was to build a wall out of things that could not be printed away. In the end, the true impact of inflation leaves behind a dark and quiet scene. Look closely at a torn handwritten budget on a kitchen table, crossed out and rewritten over and over as the numbers refuse to add up. It is the final proof of the invisible thief, a lingering reminder that the fight to keep what you have earned is a battle that never truly ends.